Hey Siri, when does Stranger Things Season 4 come out?
Stranger Things Season 4 will premiere in 2022 this.
Fine, I'll talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier instead. Hey guys, I'm JT, and I'm actively dodging bullets. So Captain Falcon featuring Bucky was kinda whatever. The show has a ton going for it, yes, but I don't know. A lot of the episodes kind of went nowhere. Some of the characters are pretty garbage, and the action could be kind of underwhelming. I didn't love it. It was not for me. So here's the review. Like 3 months late because Marvel decided it would be funny if they just like released 3 TV shows and 2 movies within the span of like a couple months, and then they threw in Luca just to mess with me, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 8's coming out soon enough, and I gotta review that. It's one of my favorite shows, so I just got so many reviews to do. I'm going insane! There'll be spoilers in this video, obviously. It's a review. Also, this is all my personal opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. Opinions are valid and whatever. Okay, let's do the thing now. To start, I thought I would do another quickfire review where I go over what I think of every episode in the show and then give them a score out of 10.
I am Speed.
First episode, it was a pretty cool intro to the show. I liked the opening action sequence, and I think it's kind of cool to focus on Sam and Bucky's lives a bit more. Even if the episode didn't do anything that mind-blowing, it was still pretty decent.
7 out of 10.
Second episode, kind of boring. I felt like the story didn't really go anywhere, and it just kind of was a waste of time. That being said, there is some cool action here and there, and it introduces Isaiah, who's easily the best character in the show. 4 out of 10. Third episode, I actually thought it was really fun, but the story is just completely broken. I'm sorry, but it does not make sense that under any circumstances Sam and Bucky would trust Zemo. Like, he tried to get them to like kill each other in the last one. Plus, the prison escape is laughably stupid. The idea that Zemo could escape this super high security prison because Bucky slipped a prisoner a note saying that another prisoner was gonna kill him, and then they just all start fighting. It's the dumbest thing ever. Then again, this episode does have Zemo dancing, which is like, it's the greatest thing ever. That scene is a 10 out of 10 on its own, and so is the episode. No, the episode's a 4 out of 10. Fourth episode, the Wakandan Spear Ladies show up again, so that's pretty awesome. Too bad they don't get to do anything. I do like the one scene with Sam and Karli when they're just kind of talking until John Walker ruins it, which is pretty in line for his character. And then Walker just straight up commits manslaughter, which was real dumb and just a complete 180. I don't know why they made that a plot point. That was such obviously a bad idea. Why is Walker in this show? 4 out of 10. Fifth episode is pretty boring. The fact that it tries to make us feel bad for John Walker is hysterically stupid. But honestly, that one scene with Isaiah and Sam brings this episode up from a 4 out of 10 to like a 6 out of 10. It's that good that it's adds an extra 2 to the total. That was not a coherent sentence at all. Sixth episode, easily the best in this show. The action was great. Sam's speech at the end was pretty cool. Sam finally becoming Captain America was great. Sam and Isaiah's last interaction was great. My only big problem with the show is that it tried to make us feel bad for Karli, who's legitimately a mass murderer, but, she's not a terrorist. That was the dumbest line ever.
She's the dictionary definition of a terrorist.
Did the writers not read the screenplays they already wrote? What's going on? Yeah, I don't feel bad for this girl at all. I am sorry. You killed like 25 people over the course of the movie, and the way you died was because you were about to shoot someone, and then someone stopped you. This is not a tragedy. There have been Marvel villains who have done way less bad stuff, and we treat their deaths as a good thing. Like, Yellow Jacket. All he really did was steal a suit. He gets straight up murdered, and no one thinks that's...
Here we see the wild Marvel nerd complaining about one of the most minor inconsistencies in a massive franchise that, despite its size, still manages to have incredible consistency, while giving the MCU absolutely no credit. After this rant, he will return to his den to dust his Funko Pop collection of various characters who he loves and idolizes, but also can't stop complaining about.
But, like, that's literally my only issue with this episode. Otherwise, it's incredible. 8 out of 10. It's a pretty spectacular finale to an otherwise mediocre show. Anyway, moving on to the rest of the review. Whoa. One of my hermit crabs just like did a front roll. So obviously the best part of the show is the commentary on racism and stuff. It's nice to see a Disney property that, you know, for once actually acknowledges the crushing systemic racism firmly rooted into every aspect of American society, which they've been conveniently ignoring for the past forever. The stuff with Isaiah legitimately blew my mind. It was just so emotional and just it was heartbreak. Nope. It was so deep and profoundly, brutally honest, and just genuinely great all around. But when the show moves away from its commentary on racism, it gets considerably worse in every way. Crazily enough, my biggest problem with this show is that it's really boring. And say what you will about MCU movies and shows, but they are not boring. And when I say boring, I don't necessarily even mean that compared to other shows, it's boring. I mean, my favorite show of all time is The Office, where most of the comedy is about how boring the show is. I live for boring television. My problem with this show was that it was marketed as this super fun, you know, off-the-wall, insane action show. And then it had, like, maybe 10 action scenes over the course of the 6 episodes. None of which were particularly good, except for the ones in the finale, and I guess the car chase was kind of cool. And that's about it. Like, how are you going to make trailers that make the show look like it's going to be this exciting, action-packed show, and then it's like, most of the episodes are just a couple random dudes talking, and what they're talking about isn't particularly interesting, or emotional, or clever or well written, or even it's often not even related to the plot and just kind of feels like filler and isn't even that funny by MCU standards because Sam and Bucky aren't particularly funny characters. But moving on from the boredom part of the show, Zemo I don't think was that well handled. Don't get me wrong, I love Zemo. He's like probably in my top 5 favorite MCU villains of all time. And I genuinely think it's great that they took his character into more of a sarcastic, goofy role. At first I thought it was kind of weird that they took such a deep and complex character and kind of just made him the funny guy. But then I thought about it more, and let's look at it this way. The main reason he's such a deep and complex character is because he hates the Avengers because of Sokovia. But pretty much all the Avengers that were in that battle are retired or
Dead?
At this point, or in Thor's case, somewhere off in space, and in Hawkeye's case, potentially not even going to be in the MCU anymore because their actor might be going to jail any day now. So, with Captain America and Iron Man, the main 2 people who was angry at gone and out of the picture, I think it's kind of believable that he would take on a more comedic role. My problem isn't with his actual character in this show, it's with Bucky and Sam's interactions with him. Like, honestly, the fact that they keep trusting him is ridiculous. He literally tried to have them murdered. On the scales of, like, untrustworthiness with MCU characters, he's probably only second to Loki. And his whole thing is tricking people. Like, the fact that they keep trusting him after he almost got them killed. Like, that would be like if someone shot you, and then 5 years later, you put your differences aside because you need help moving a couch. Ow! Ow! How could you do? Wait, Molly, hold on. Can you help me move a thing? Ow! And yes, we kind of need to address the elephant in the room. This one. His name's Larry. No, it's not Larry, it's John Walker. He's Larry's friend. But yeah, John Walker. He sucks. I don't like him. No. What? Okay, 11%. Really? Good job, Apple. I forgive you for the headphone jack thing. That's not true. I'll never forgive you for the headphone jack. And like, don't get me wrong. I know John Walker is very much a character you're supposed to hate. But where's the payoff with John Walker? Usually the point of an unlikable character is A, they get redeemed, similar to, say, Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender, or B, they end up getting their comeuppance in the end and you get to laugh at them, like with Umbridge in Harry Potter. But John Walker doesn't get a redemption arc or repercussions for his actions. It just kind of seems like they made him unlikable for the sake of him being unlikable. And I'm sorry, but the fact that they try and make us empathize with him after he murders a man who had no weapons and didn't need to be killed in broad daylight in front of a crowd with Captain America's shield, and we're just supposed to forgive him, and then he gets a slap on the wrist, and we're supposed to feel bad for him? Are you kidding me, Marvel? I hope that was funny and didn't just look ridiculous. I don't know. I'll fix it in posts. Not sure what that means. I'm not very good at poster design. Which you can learn with today's sponsor, Skillshare. I don't get sponsored. I have 77 subscribers. How would I get sponsored? This joke is going on for too long and is no longer funny. This happens in all my videos where I just have this one long sentence where I'm just saying random crap and it's not particularly. That being said, Wyatt Russell actually portrays John Walker pretty well, and it's basically the only part of his character that I actually like. I'd say that Karli has a similar problem, although to a much less extreme extent. By which I mean that she does really awful stuff, and despite this, never gets any sort of redemption or repercussions, and yet we're still supposed to empathize with her, even though she deserves everything that she gets in this show. Like, seriously, she killed without batting an eye, blows up a building, sets a car of people on fire, tries to kill Sharon, tries to kill Bucky and Sam numerous times, threatens to kill Bucky's nephews, who are children. He tries to kill a bunch of politicians, but we're supposed to feel bad for her when this old lady died? I don't even know about this old lady. I don't feel bad for Karli. I feel bad for the old lady because you haven't established a bond between her and the old lady.
And also, Karli is an awful person.
And speaking of really poorly written characters that the show kind of drops the ball on, Sharon. I didn't like her in this show. Not much at all. I feel like the show kind of forgot what character she was in the other two Captain America movies. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I never really liked Sharon that much. I know she's pretty popular, and maybe that's because I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and probably never will, but I don't know. I found her kind of boring, especially compared to Peggy, who is legitimately the most underrated character in the entire show. Don't at me. I don't know. Kraglin also is pretty great, and no one ever talks about Kraglin. But I'm still continuing my Justice for Kraglin movement. Honestly, I thought the twist of Sharon being the power broker was kinds of lame. Like, it wasn't that surprising. It was pretty early on established that she had a bunch of resources in this city, and so did the power broker, and it just kind of, it makes sense. And I feel like they gave us too many clues. They should have made it less obvious. But good news, turns out that the MCU has decided that that's not canon anymore. She's not the power broker. I wasn't aware that a franchise could do that, where you're just like, hey, you know the thing we put in the TV show? Let's just pretend that never happened. Considering how important to the narrative she is, I really wish she got more screen time. Like, she's only on screen for like 10 minutes. Oh, but we can spend so much time talking about John Walker's pointless sidekick who never does anything, ever, and is just there for... Why was he there? Why'd they even add him into the show? He's pointless. The only main character I actually liked in the show a lot was Sam. I think Anthony Mackie absolutely knocks it out of the park in this show. I want him to win all the Emmys. And not just like the acting related ones either. I want Anthony Mackie to win Best Comedy Series. And the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Comedy Series goes to Anthony Mackie. What the heck, guys? What? Bucky's okay in this show. Sebastian Stan shouldn't win all the Emmys, but he should at least win an Emmy for Outstanding Documentary. But I kind of feel like his inclusion in the show was not super necessary. Most of the time, he just seems to be acting as Falcon's sidekick, and I feel like there's a lot of missed potential with this character. Like, in the first episode, they set up this really compelling storyline about him having to come forward to his neighbor and tell him that he was the one who killed his son, and it looks like it's going to be this really interesting story arc. And then he doesn't come forward to him until the last episode for like 10 seconds, and then it cuts away before we get his reaction. So what was even the point? I gotta be honest, it kind of just feels like he's in the show because you got Falcon, and you got Zemo, and you got Sharon, you got all the Captain America characters. They're all from the Captain America movies, so you kind of by default have to have Bucky. And that sort of feels like the whole reason he's in the show, and not because it actually made sense. Come to think of it, this show suffers from the same problem that Far From Home suffered from, where it focuses too much on one of the Avengers who was in the previous movies and is no longer in the new ones. In Far From Home, it was Iron Man, and in this show, it's Captain America. And I'd even argue it handles it worse than Far From Home, because with Far From Home, I think it's safe to say that Spider-Man had a much better bond with Iron Man than Falcon did with Captain America. Like, I guess I make sense that they have a bond by default because they've been in 2 movies together, but like, they never really had any chemistry, to be quite honest. I feel like if they showed like flashback scenes between Sam and Steve, like that could have worked better. But I don't know. I don't really think their relationship was built up that well. I mean, Steve already had a stronger bond with Black Widow and Bucky, and arguably Iron Man, so yeah. But yeah, it's no coincidence that all the major Captain America characters show up in this show. They're just gonna milk the character dry, even after he's dead. So that sucks. Like I said earlier, some of the episodes just kind of go nowhere. Like in the second episode, it's mostly just Sam and Bucky doing vaguely related action-y things that don't really move the plot forward. By the end of the episode, it doesn't feel like anything's been accomplished other than you managed to kill 40 minutes. Is that how long the episode? Hold on, I gotta check this. Jeez, some of them go up to 60 minutes. Why? I really feel like the show could have benefited from shorter episodes and also more episodes, weirdly enough. Yeah, they really try and stretch out the individual episodes, and they get real boring after a while. If episode 2 was condensed into a couple of really cool action scenes and some good character building moments here and there, rather than dragging it out with so much random stuff that just doesn't matter, I would have thought it was a great episode, but they just put so much filler in there Because WandaVision was around 50 minutes and that show was great, so let's just do that again. Just because it's the new normal for shows to be around 40 to 50 minutes rather than 20 doesn't mean you have to do that. And weirdly enough, even though it does feel like they really try and stretch out the episodes, the show also wasn't long enough. I feel like it needed more time to develop its story, and shorter episodes. It's usually not a good sign when you think a show should have more episodes and are also bored out of your mind. What I think they should have done is make all the episodes 30 minutes and have 11 episodes. Cut out all the filler, make the episodes nice and concise and more action-y, but also keep in all the great conversation bits and trim out all the dead weight that really wasn't anything to the story. Then release the episodes 2 at a time, once a week, and for the final episode, make it 15 minutes and release it on its own. Big brain. I should work for Marvel. A certain Ant-Man side character will be getting a spin-off series anytime soon if that does happen, and a Jimmy Woo spin-off, and probably a Wong spin-off, because if you don't like Wong, what's wrong with you? I'm gonna keep this running joke going. Yeah, but in conclusion, they should have done my episode schedule instead of theirs. So that's just a theory. A TV theory, I'm so sorry. Also, how crazy is it that there's not a TV theory channel? Get on that, MatPat. It's free real estate. Also, the insane amount of focus put on the flippin' shield.
Oh my god.
I get it. It's a pretty cool shield. I would give that shield at least an 8 out of 10. But it is not strong enough to carry the premise of an entire TV show. I think the biggest problem with the shield is that Bucky never even, touched it. So if this was a show about Iron Man, then it would make sense because it was made by his father and he had the shield briefly. But with Bucky, they probably should have, admittedly this is not a problem with the TV show, but they should have built up some sort of connection with him and the shield. I don't know. Try something. Clint held the shield longer than Falcon before this show. Clint! I mean, not the entire show. Could you imagine? We shouldn't have given up the shields. I should have given up the shields. We shouldn't have given up the shields. I should have given up the shield. We shouldn't have. I should have given up. We shouldn't have the shield. 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 My phone stopped recording because my playlist started playing for no reason. Thanks, Apple. Gonna get sued by Apple. I gotta stop bad-mouthing them. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. My overall score would probably be a 5 out of 10, which I know sounds pretty low, but that technically means the show's average, so I guess watch it if you really want to see it. Just watch all the parts that have Sam in it and skip all the other parts, and that's the best way to consume this show. You won't have any idea what's happening, but I watched the show the entire time through, and I didn't know what was happening because the plot is so bad. Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier is a 5 out of 10 show with an 8 out of 10 finale, characters that range from 2 to 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 commentary on racism, 5 out of 10 humor, and a 3 out of 10 plot. Was that sentence super confusing and hard to understand? Well, so was Inception, and people love Inception. So there. I defeated your argument with logic. Wow, this is the second Inception reference I've made in like 2 months. What's happening? I guess I watched Inception recently, so, maybe I'll post my thoughts about it on Letterboxd. Oh yeah, you should subscribe to my Letterboxd account. That's how you do a segue. I got a Letterboxd account. In case you didn't see the short I put out, it's a site where you review movies and stuff. You can find me at JT_from_YouTube, and watch all my videos. That's not true, it's all text-based. Anyway, feel free to like and subscribe, or dislike and unsubscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna go wait for Season 4 of Stranger Things to come out now.
I used Adobe Premiere Pro to edit this video in a FugeTech tripod and pop voice microphone as the microphone and tripod. Obviously, that kind of goes without saying. So that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. My next review will probably be like a short review for What If, and then I'm gonna rank all the episodes and also do a Loki review. I got a ton of stuff to do. But yeah, I'll see you guys when that happens. Have a nice day.
You were the clock that was ticking in my home. Changed my state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Love so hard to find.
we got him.
You're the